Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to our Arizona Coyotes franchise mode here in NHL 22. So in last episode, we had free agency and we started up the season simulation. We didn't do any free agent signings this year because this team really had a lot of prospects in the system that we could call up, so we didn't really find the need to make any moves. And yeah, we started up the season simulation. As you can see, so far we are 24, 14, and 3, which is pretty good. And yeah, the young guys have been doing pretty decently, I'd say, for the most part. I actually did, after the last episode, make a little bit of a change, which you guys are going to see in a little bit, because basically what I forgot about is that we let go of our head coach in the off season because our head coach wanted like $3 million, and our coaching budget is like what is it? Our coaching budget's not really a whole lot, so we couldn't re-sign him. And I realized it signed us a new head coach, which was not really a great scheme fit, and that might have been why our team wasn't doing as good to start the season. So I just fired him like literally like 5 minutes ago before this recording happened. And yeah, I basically let him go, and I promoted this guy to an interim head coach while I wait for our other option to sign, which this head coach should be a lot better for our team. The only problem is he's 63 years of age, so he might end up retiring at some stage. But yeah, this guy has a 69% scheme fit, and he's much better of a coach with guys like Hordichuk didn't have a good scheme fit with the old coach. So I wanted to find ourselves a new head coach for the rest of the season, even though that head coach has never won a Stanley Cup before. He's got a really good career record though, which is nice, and he's got some decent teaching stats and stuff like that. So I think he should be good for our team and make us a bit better of a defensive team, which we weren't really at the beginning of the season. So yeah, hopefully that clears up the need to be a better defensive team, and hopefully it helps us going forward into the playoffs and all that type of stuff. So yeah, that's basically the only change I made. Now, a lot of you guys were suggesting, I'm not going to go over each individual comment, but a lot of you guys were suggesting to potentially upgrade like our top 6 forward group or our top 4 defensive core. Now, if we get this new head coach, I think it'll probably be a lot better, but you could see our forward core looks pretty good on paper. Like, we could always move guys up and down in the lineup. Like, for example, Agostino could even take faceoffs if we really want him to. So you guys were saying that Aho should go just because he's making $11 million, but he's been producing pretty well for his overall. I don't know if he's going to do the same type of thing in the playoffs, but 37 points through 40 games is pretty damn good considering he's only an 81. So I think I'm going to keep Aho around this year. Depends on what's on the block at the trade deadline. And yeah, the rest of our forward core is just really good, and we have really solid depth, I'd say. So we don't really need to make much changes in terms of that. Our defensive core definitely is weaker than it has been in the past, so we might still upgrade this depending on what's out there at the trade deadline and how good the new coach fits our system, and if he actually helps us play as a better defensive team. If we don't want to make a defensive change, though, we could always try and change up our goaltending situation, because I don't know if it's the defense or the goaltending, but Beauregard, for example, has not really been that great. Like an 890 save percentage on a team that's this good shouldn't be happening, I'd say. And I obviously want to keep Galiev around since he's still a young goaltender. So I think if we are going to make any moves, it might be just to the goaltending to try and upgrade our goaltending a bit, or it might be to the defensive core if we really need to. But depends on how this new head coach fits with our defensive system and makes us a better defensive team or not. So there is that, and yeah, let's continue to simulate and see if that head coach accepts, which he more than likely should, because he was looking for an associate job, but obviously, like, he looks like he's going to be a good fit for a head coach job for our team, considering the last coach was like a 57% scheme fit, and he got us this far. This new coach is a 69% scheme fit, so he should end up making us a much better team, and hopefully that helps out our defensive stats a little bit. So let's go a few days and see if this coach accepts, and then we will make some adjustments to our lines just to make sure that they work the best with the coach. So let's see if this coach accepts. He should accept within a few days. And yep, there you go. He's going to accept. Perfect. Good. We lose that game, though, before we got that coach, but that's okay. I was kind of expecting that. Let's go to our edit lines and see what we could do in terms of our lineup, see if there's any new changes we need to make, which I don't really think there needs to be. With this new head coach, we have plus chemistry on every single line, which is really nice to see. +5 from the top line, +1 from these middle 2 lines, and then the fourth line's a +2, which is actually pretty nice. And then the defensive core has really good chemistry as well. Hordichuk works much better on that top 6 pairing with this new coach. So I kind of think that was a good option for us to do. Even though that head coach that we previously had got us a winning record, this one will be a much better coach for our team, I think. Unless he's just not a good one with the special teams, which he seems to work well with the special teams as well. So this coach might have been the perfect option for our team, so that's actually really good. Just hopefully Beauregard's stats could get a little bit better with his new coach. Right now he's got now an 888 save percentage and a 325, so if by the deadline that's much better, then we might not need to make much defensive changes to our team. But if for some reason those are worse or they're right around the same, then we might make some changes depending on what is out there. So let's continue to simulate up until the deadline. We'll get the rest of the season simulated in this episode, just because I am very curious to see if this team is going to go for a third straight Stanley Cup or not with the coaching changes and stuff. So Tuukkanen's been injured, so that's not great, just considering we have +5 chemistry now on that top 6 pairing. I don't like that, but we do win a bunch of games without Tuukkanen, so that's actually pretty nice. Let's go to March the 1st. See how we do in this month, as McGillis is full health, but I don't think he was injured, right? Yeah, he was never injured. The only thing I don't really like about our lineup is scratching guys like McIntyre, because I really would like to get them into our roster, but it's really hard to find room for them. So eventually some of these guys on this roster might have to leave in order. Like Aho's definitely probably gone this offseason unless he wants a cheap deal and he's still an NHL caliber player, but he might end up retiring regardless. So at least that'll free up some cap space, considering we'll probably need it since guys like Chikrin are up for renewal. And then Agostino just got re-signed to his 8-year extension in the last episode. So, but we're winning games with this new head coach, and we're playing not necessarily great defensively still, it seems like. Sasaki's been injured now, so that's not great. Another defensive injury. And Aho's now been injured with a sore foot. Let's just go replace player. But yeah, we're getting slammed by injuries, and we're still not playing the best defensively, which is not great. Let's go back to defense here. Who was it that was back? Was it Sasaki? Yeah, it was Sasaki. Okay, good. So yeah, we still have Aho who's out with an injury, but yeah, we're still not playing the best defensively this season, which makes it kind of sad that we lost Khalil Klimi in the offseason, just because of the budget. Aho's dropped down to an 80, maybe because of that injury though. There's a nice win, and we're now 34-21-3, a couple days before the deadline. Not too bad. How's the goaltending stats looking? And also, Michkov is going insane this year. 77 points now in 58 games. He's already got 42 goals. So he almost has like 50 goals in like under 70 games, which is actually kind of insane. So he's probably on pace to win the Richard this season if he continues like that. Beauregard is still really struggling at 884. I'm not really sold on Beauregard at all. How about Galiev? How has he been? In 893? Yeah, we might have to make some changes to the goaltending, because I don't think it's the defensive core that's the problem. Like, it could be because there's a lot of younger guys in there like Burkov, Bilesma, and Hordichuk, but I don't think they're the problem. I honestly don't. Is there any good goalies on the block that have like 1 year left, or anybody that's pending free agents for goalies that I could trade for maybe? Like, let's see who's a pending free agent for a goalie that's a UFA, that's a decent overall wise. Doesn't seem like anybody right now. That's not good. I wonder if there's any goalies on the block though, because I don't know if I trust Beauregard going into the playoffs and stuff like that. Like, I kind of miss Hornquist in a sense. Hornquist wasn't the best either though. Is there any goalies on the block? Actually, I'm not going to look at it through the trading block like this. I'm just going to go to proposed trade and see if there's any goalies that match our trading block or whatever it says. Because I think we need to maybe upgrade our goaltending situation a bit here. Let's see what we got here. Any goalies that match our block? No, not Petit. A lot of these guys are just prospect goalies, which we don't need prospect goalies. We need somebody that's going to make an impact right now. Arthur Seelovs is not the type of guy. He's a cheap goalie option, but I don't think he's going to be that much better, because he's got a 900 save percentage right now in Detroit, which is better than our two goalies at the moment, but I don't think he's got the experience that we're looking for. Hornquist is back on the block, which is interesting. $6.725 million for 4 years. It'd be interesting to trade back for Hornquist, but I don't know if he's worth it. He's been a pretty solid goalie in Montreal. Looks like a 905 and whatnot, but is he worth it to bring back? Especially on that contract. Like, I don't know what I'd have to give up to get him. but it might be intriguing. Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, does he have 1 year left? No, he has 2, damn. If he had 1 year left, he would probably be a good option, because I think he usually simulates decently. But we're looking, yeah, for NHL starting goalies and not for prospect goalies. Caden Primo is not really much of an upgrade. He does have 1 year left. He does have some good stats, but he's been used more as a backup goalie, so I don't really know. I mean, he's the same overall, technically, as Beauregard, so we could technically trade for him if we want to, but he's 34, so he might not be that great. Somers was a 77. Anybody else? Donaghy. Oh, yeah, Donaghy's decent-ish, right? Yeah, Donaghy's actually pretty good this year. I might want to trade for Donaghy, to be honest. He's a worse goalie, though, is the thing overall-wise, but he seems to simulate, like, a much better goalie. Like, he's got 10 shutouts in his career. How's his playoff numbers? Not terrible. The goals against is a little terrible because of Detroit, but I don't know if it's worth trading for, though, because it's a downgrade overall-wise. And we aren't going to make any changes just yet. We'll wait till the actual deadline itself and see if we could find something. But if not, maybe Beauregard will just randomly turn it on in the playoffs. Or we could run with the youngster Galiev, who was really good in his playoff debut a few years ago when we won the Stanley Cup for the first time. So, and he still has the rest of the season to get better too, so it's not the end of the world if we don't trade for a goalie or not. So, okay, let's get right into this trade deadline, see if there's anything out there to help us out defensively, offensively, or goaltending wise. But if there's not, then I'll probably just simulate Austin Matthews on the block with 1 year left. That would be so nice, but I do probably have the assets to move for Austin Matthews, and it would be cool for him to go back to his home city or home state in Arizona, but the trade value is probably really high, and I don't know what I could give up to get somebody like Austin Matthews, and where the heck would he slot in? Probably where Sebastian Aho is. Like, we'd have to look at trade value-wise, what we'd be able to give up. We could give up bits. Do I want to trade for Austin Matthews, though? I don't know. I could give up that. I could give up, like, a third-rounder. Give them back their own third-rounder in this trade. Do you have any skaters that match the block? But watch, if we trade for Matthews, we're going to be too good, and we're going to be a first-round exit. Do we have the cap space to even afford him? Apparently we do. So we can't afford him without actually even getting rid of Sebastian Aho, which is actually pretty good, because I wouldn't mind keeping Aho. What else could we give up in order to get Matthews? I don't want to give up too much. I'm giving up that medium elite defenseman because I don't know if he's going to pan out. We could give up... I'm not giving up McGrath. He looks like he could be something. Let's just go to skaters matching block. Definitely not giving up any of these roster players. We could give up Spalling, but he doesn't really have much value. Is Spalling worth getting rid of? No thank you. I don't... Actually, wait a sec. That might be an intriguing trade as well, because it helps out our defensive core. We get 2 defensemen in. But I would have to send down that guy that we signed in free agency. But I would still like to look at Matthews first, I think. Just because of the fact him being born in Arizona seems cool to try and trade for. What if I went to the trade finder and see what Toronto wants for Austin Matthews? Because, I mean, it's our only chance probably of bringing in Matthews here. Nothing found. So, yeah, I'm going to have to make something up on my own. But I want to try and trade for him at least, I think. Because, does he fit our roster or no? I didn't look at that ahead of time. Does he fit our top line? He does not. It's his Holmberg scheme, though. And Holmberg was our old head coach. So, I still wouldn't mind trading for Matthews here. It might be kind of weird to try and trade for a guy that's probably going to retire soon. But it'd be kind of cool to help us out that he's like a hometown player. And it would probably rattle a few Leaf fans. 2 third-round picks and bits. And then we'll have to probably give up one more thing at least in this deal. I just don't know what I could give them. We'd probably have to get rid of a roster center. I could give up them Appleby, maybe. We do have a lot of players on our roster. Like, there is players that are scratched, like McIntyre. McIntyre's got good value. Can you stop interrupting me, you dumb friggin' AIs? Now I'm just gonna keep on closing this trade offer. I hate that. Why does it, like, interrupt your trade? Matthews is so good and his team is not doing good at all this season, so we need to try and capitalize on this. I hate the damn trade offers of the day I throw out and it interrupts your trades. We actually have 3 third-round picks this year. We don't need any of them, I'd say. 3 third-round picks in bits for Matthews. Is that even going to work? No, that's what I thought. Okay, so I got to throw in something else still. I think we got to get rid of somebody on our roster, which I am leaning towards McGillis, maybe. How's McGillis been? +7, 19 points. Yeah, I'm leaning towards McGillis, to be honest. Yeah, I think I got to let go of McGillis here in this trade. Let me get rid of a third just in case. Maybe I have to keep the third. I'll try and give them a second-round pick for, like, next season, because we should be still a competitive team by next year, and they might want a second. No, they don't. Let's just give them a second for next year. So bits, 2/3, McGillis, and a second. Will this work? Is rejected. Yeah, we might not be able to get Matthews. It might be too much to ask. But he might end up retiring, so this might be our only chance of getting him on our roster. 2 second-round picks. Let me get rid of the third. 2 second-round picks, McGillis, and bits. Is that going to work? No. Maybe we'll just try and upgrade our defensive core. How has Matthews even been this season? Really good, but his team hasn't been. Yeah, I don't know if it's really worth it to trade for him. Yeah, let's just try and upgrade our defensive core because we do not have... Well, we still have a couple hours in this, it looks like, but I still want to find a defenseman maybe. Actually, Quinn Hughes was on the block. Does he fit our defensive core? He's making $12 million. That's a lot of money. I don't know if he fits our defensive core or not. And then I don't know who I would be scratching in order to play him. No, he does not fit our defensive core. Who else is out there for defensemen that could help us out? That might be cheaper. Oh, Tierney's on the block for goaltenders. It says that we're interested in him, which is kind of neat. But he's making $7 million in Edmonton. How good is this goalie? Not really that great, unless the team in front of him's not that good. But I don't trust an elite goalie almost. So, not going to trade for him. Even though we do need a goalie, maybe. Breland, 5 years left. Jeez, that's a lot of money. Let's just go to available so we can see everybody. I don't know if we're going to end up making a trade or not. Depends if we could find something that helps us out. What else we got here? I still wouldn't mind Matthews. Werenski's back on the block. That's funny. Ooh, Priestberg. Priestberg might not be bad to help out our defensive core. He's on 1 year left. He's only 28. Can you stop interrupting me? Jeez, Winnipeg. Okay, we need to go to Vancouver and go to Pressburg, but my god. I hate how this game interrupts you. You guys probably hate it as well. So Pressburg, let's see if this guy fits our system. He does. Maybe. What are they looking for even? I don't know. Do they like any draft picks? They do not. They want a first round pick, but they do not want any other picks. So actually for later years they do. I could give them a second for next year, maybe. Yeah, a second for next year is fine for me. And then I would have to send down that 78 overall defenseman, but we get an upgrade on defense just in case. I'd probably slot him into our top 4. Yeah, let's just bring in Pressburg. Why not? And I do not want to move Hordichuk down, but I will accept that trade. So there we go. We bring in one defenseman, Pressburg, from the Canucks, who is on a 1 year deal. I think that's a good move for our team, just to give us a more defensive presence on our team. I don't know about goalie-wise if we still want to try and upgrade that goaltending situation, because I'm still not sold on Beauregard. But there's not really a whole lot of goalie options out there, so I don't know. Samsonov, 1 year left, but he's only an 80. Like, a lot of these guys are just old and whatnot. I wouldn't still mind trading for Matthews, but what the heck are we going to give up to get Matthews? I don't know what I could give up to get Matthews, because Michkov, Agostino, Shelley, those type of guys are all untouchable. I could give up McIntyre, who's got a lot of value because of his X factors, but I don't really know if I want to do that, because he's scratched right now, which is kind of annoying. I'd rather him be playing if I could. What else we could give up here? Yeah, still wouldn't mind giving up McGillis as a roster player, but he doesn't have the value. Can you stop interrupting me? God damn, I do not want friggin' Breland on 5 years left. God damn. Okay, I don't think I could trade for Matthews just because, yeah, I don't think there's going to be any way. Because they don't want Appleby, which is kind of weird considering it looks like they are going into a rebuild. Actually, they do want Appleby. I might be able to swing something with Appleby involved. Even though I don't really want to get rid of Eddie. Oh no, they don't actually want him. I still could try and move it. We'd go over to salary cap. I do not want Miro Heiskanen. I'm gonna just get out of this trade deadline now. I don't think there's any goalies out there. And Matthews, every time I go in and try and trade for him, I get interrupted. Or I could try and trade for Elias. But does Elias match your system? I have no idea. But let's just go to the trade finder and see. Was it Seattle that had Elias or was it Vancouver? Okay, it's still Vancouver. Let me just see what the asking price would be for Elias. I don't want to go too close to the max salary cap though. Nothing. Okay. Yeah, we're not going to make any more trades. So we're only going to make that one deal to help out our defensive core. I think that should help us out a little bit. Just in case we can't rely on somebody like whatever his name was, Hordichuk or whatever in the playoffs because he's young. That type of thing. So, okay, let's go to edit lines. Sucks that we couldn't bring in Matthews, but it is what it is. We still have a really good top line, so I'm okay that we didn't make anything happen for our offensive core. But defensively, I think we just got a good upgrade. The thing is now, who the heck do we scratch? Or I'm going to have to send somebody down to the minors, because I don't necessarily want to scratch, what's his name that I just traded for. Did he get sent down to the minors? Yes, he did. I could leave him down there for now. Minus 31 in Vancouver, which is not great. How good is his defensive stats? I didn't even look at those really. 95 defensive awareness. That's actually pretty good. Who would I send down? I could send down Hordichuk for the playoffs. Yeah, I'm going to send down Hordichuk for now, I think. Just because of the upgrade, but Hordichuk might come back up, actually. No, maybe not Hordichuk. But I don't want to have him scratched, so I would rather him be playing. And I don't think he goes through waivers, which he does not. So for now, we're going to send down Hordichuk just because I don't want him to be scratched, but we might call him back up for the playoffs, and then we'll send down Jankumovs when the playoffs begin, that type of thing. So we'll send down Hordichuk. We'll call up Pressburg just because he's our defensive upgrade. It does suck to send down Hordichuk since he's a young defenseman, but we had to make some sort of move to upgrade our defensive core a little bit, I think. And let's see what we could do here. It doesn't really help out our defensive core in terms of stats that much. Pressburg's apparently not actually a great fit for the top four. He's a terrible fit for our defensive core. Maybe I should not have traded for him then. So I guess it was because of the old head coach, but I think I'll still keep him on our roster for now. Yeah, I'm going to keep Pressburg still in the top 6 pairings for now. But at some point, Hordichuk might get called right back up just because for the playoffs and all that. So we are going to just take out a random defenseman down here. Get Hordichuk back into the lineup a bit. It's not that Hordichuk's been bad, but I just want him to get some playing time, and that's why he's down there in the minors. At least for now. So there is that, and let's continue to simulate. And yeah, Hordichuk will just get called right back up once we get to the playoffs because we're more than likely going to be a playoff team. And then more than likely that other depth defenseman will get sent down, and I will have to make probably a decision on who I actually want to play on our defensive core in the playoffs and who ends up getting scratched for the first round. Silverberg has been injured in the AHL. Let's just go replace player. But yeah, we're winning a bunch of games since the trade deadline, so that's good news. It was a good winning streak, and then we lose 2 in a row. Let's just go best lines in the AHL. There's a couple more wins. Game against Seattle is another one. And a loss to Winnipeg. We're now 46-24-3, and we still have 8 games left this season. Let's finish it off strong, or just finish it off badly and then win a Stanley Cup or something like that. Okay, we're going to finish it off strong, it looks like. Yep, finished off strong with a couple wins and 2 losses at the end of it. But 52-26-4. A really good season for losing our head coach. And holy shit, Mechnikov had 111 points this year, 62 goals in 82 games. Unreal. He kind of slowed down a little bit, it seems like, but that is a great season for him. Let's advance today so we can get the calendar fully done. There you go. Looks like we came 3rd best in the entire NHL. No, 4th best. Behind the Devils, the Capitals, and the Sabres, who had 122 points this year. God, that's crazy. Okay. So now that that is done, let's take a look at our player stats for the season and see if the goalies improved, if the defense improved, if the offense stayed where it was, that type of thing. And then we'll have to call a Portachuk and see what we do for our defensive core for the playoffs and who we're also up against, which should be interesting. So we finished, the fourth best in the entire league behind Washington, New Jersey, and Buffalo. We finished in terms of goals for, tied for second with the Washington Capitals, only behind the Buffalo Sabres, which is not really a surprise. Goals against per game wise, we were not great defensively still. So yeah, that's kind of concerning that our goaltending just did not do really what it should. So we might have to look at playing Galiev over Beauregard, because I'm still not sold on Beauregard unless his stats are actually pretty good. But still, yeah, goaltending and defense definitely needs to improve. Power play percentage-wise, we were one of the best power play teams, the third best, only behind Buffalo and Colorado. Colorado had a nuts power play at 29.1% though. And our penalty kill was not good either at 78%. Yeah, we had one of the worst penalty kills in the league, so we got to just play a bit better defensively in terms of the playoffs, but we were still a really good home team and an average road team, I'd say. Let's take a look at now those player stats and see who did what. And hopefully Pressburg played good with us when we brought him in. So Aho, 65 points in 77 games. This is probably his last season here, but pretty solid, I'd say. Not necessarily the best from a first-line center, but still pretty good. Geeky and Bentley both had 61 points and almost the exact same point totals in terms of like goals and assists and all that. So very good stats from our three centers, I'd say. Penner, 25 points is pretty solid as well. Not bad. That's his first season, right? Yeah, first season in the NHL. Dalmo, 7 points in 5 games as a depth option. That's actually really good. Shooting 37.5% when he got put on that top line. So maybe we just want to play Dalmo on the top line instead of Aho. Who knows? Because Dalmo seems to put up points when he's with Agostino and Michkov, as he probably should. Agostino, 102 points this year. That is a career best or no? Yep, a career best. He would have been on pace for 3 straight 100-point seasons. Since he's been paired with like Michkov and stuff like that, he's been unreal. 33 goals, 69 assists for 102 points, plus 24. I am so glad I re-signed him for an 8-year extension because he is the GOAT of the series probably. A lot of hits this year as well, and a good amount of takeaways. Yeah, definitely a good season for Agostino. Loving that. Shishkinov, 62 points is pretty good as well. McGill's 28 points, not bad from a fourth line type of guy. That is his second best season of his career. Not bad. Then in terms of right wings, Michkov, 111 points. We knew already about that, but 62 goals this year, which matches his second best, or actually it is his second best. He's had now 3 60-goal seasons in his career, but since we brought him in, he's just been insanely good. Like 4 seasons straight with 50-plus goals and over 100 points. Like, he's definitely helped out Agostino a lot in terms of his production. That is really nice. Hopefully he could do that type of stuff again in the playoffs as well. Shelley, 65 points, not bad. 38 goals this year. Hopefully he doesn't demand too much money in terms of next offseason. Like, not this upcoming one, but the next offseason when his contract is up. Because I would like to keep him around. He's still a decent goal scorer to have behind a guy like Michkov. Kagerodov, 52 points. Pretty good rookie year for him. 30 goals. Like that. Shooting 13.6% as well. Hopefully he could help out in the playoffs. Redmond, 44 points. Utsorov, 23 points. So some of the rookies did pretty decently on offense. And then defensively, Chikrin, 41 points. So he stepped up since we acquired that new coach. Burkov, 26 points is actually pretty good as well. This guy's played 2 seasons, and he scores a decent amount of goals for a defenseman, which I kind of like. Sasaki, 23 points, pretty solid, plus 15. Tukinen, 15 points, plus 7. Bilesma, 13 points, plus 16. Really good rookie season from him. Well, full rookie season, I should say, since he did play 41 games a few years ago. Pressburg, since getting acquired, was not bad. 4 points in 22 games. So he's on pace for more points with us than in Vancouver. And he was only a +1, which is not great, but it does help us out defensively a bit. And then Jacomov's 1 assist in 10 games. Goalie-wise, Beauregard, 44 wins this year is good, but the .890 save percentage and a .328 is not really that great. Galiev technically was the better of the two with the goals against and save percentage, so yeah, I'm still kind of not really sold on her goaltending this year, but maybe it'll surprise me in the playoffs. So there is that. Let's take a look at the entire league for stats. This might be a little bit of a long episode, and I apologize for that. So, best forward for points this year was Michkov with 111 points, followed by Boyce and Agostino. So, 2 of the 3 top players were on our roster, which is awesome in points. And it's kind of interesting because we played Boyce a few years ago in the Stanley Cup Finals, so that's kind of neat. Best goal scorer this season, was Michkov as well with 62 goals, which is 7 more than the next closest, which was Yip in Calgary. In terms of the best defenseman for points, that was Bowen Byram in Colorado. Interesting. Best goalie this year was Malik in terms of wins, and Beauregard was actually tied up in wins, but that save percentage and goals against, it looks like Lucas Dolstall should be the Vezina candidate, I'd assume. But then again, Dwyer was also really good, like save percentage wise and goals against wise. So probably one of the 2 of those guys. Maybe even Blackwood. Actually, probably not because it wins. Maybe Kong is up there. And then the best rookies this year, Daniel Fraze of the Carolina Hurricanes, but Kagrodov was up there, which is kind of nice to see that. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it in terms of stats. Yep. So only 3 100-point players this year, which is interesting, and we had 2 of them. Hopefully they do good again in the playoffs because they've had like 2 straight 30-point playoff seasons, it seems like. Now the question is, who are we going to be taking on in round 1? Hopefully it's a team we could beat. More than likely it could be, but hopefully we could go for a 3rd straight Stanley Cup here, as we're going to be taking on Nashville in round 1 in next episode. That's interesting. I don't remember if we played Nashville en route to one of our Stanley Cups or not, because I know I played Nashville in Houston, but I don't remember if I have in Arizona. I think I have. Yeah, I think I did play them last year. It's hard to remember when you do multiple franchise modes at a time. But Nashville-wise, this is definitely, I think I remember this roster because of Kirk Estrada. So Estrada, Kolyakovo, and Mitch Marner. Interesting. Kaprizov, Tomasino, and Coyle. So pretty solid second line. Nick Robertson, Francisco Pinelli, and J.C. Cruz. And then a 4th line of Ortmeyer, Krebs, and Lawrence, our former player. Interesting. He's been there in the last 2 seasons. So yeah, that's a pretty good forward core. Good depth, and yeah, definitely a good forward core. Defensively, though, oh yeah, that's where Dallas Guerrero signed, of course. So we lost Dallas Guerrero in last offseason, and he went on to sign with Nashville. He was a -7 this year, which is kind of a surprise, but had a career high in points with 17. Interesting. So yeah, that's what their defensive core looks like. Versteeg, Hronik, Hay, Guerrero, Boumedienne, and McIsaac. It's not a bad defensive core. It's actually pretty solid. And in goalie-wise, they have Lacroix and Wall as their goalies, so pretty good goaltending combination. Didn't we play Lacroix on a different team before? Yeah, in Colorado, I think it was. Or maybe it was New Jersey. Yeah, it might have been New Jersey in the Stanley Cup Finals, right? Yeah, it was New Jersey in the Stanley Cup Finals last year. I knew I recognized that name. And in depth-wise, they have Kip Kemp, which is a pretty damn cool name. Philip Hedel and Adrian Kemp. So they have 2 different Kemps, different spellings too. Interesting. So I don't really know what to make of their team. They're a good offensive team. They have solid goaltending. Their defense is solid, so they might actually be a much better team than they look on paper. Let's take a quick look at how they did in terms of the regular season, and then I'll be it for this episode because we're already around 34 minutes because that trade deadline took a lot longer than I expected. But during the regular season, they had 93 points, going 42, 31, and 9. They scored a good amount of goals this year, way less than us, obviously, though. Their defense was better than ours. Hopefully our defense improves. Our power play was obviously better, and their penalty kill was much better at 85%. So just they're a better defensive team. We're a better offensive team. So it should be interesting to see who could win this first round matchup. So anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of our Arizona Coyotes franchise mode. So in next episode, we'll take it to round 1 against the Nashville Predators as we look to continue our quest for a 3rd straight Stanley Cup and see if we could actually do that. I don't know if we're going to be able to do it, but if we could get back at least to like the conference finals again, that would be pretty nice. So let me guys think down below, and I'll see you guys next time.